The transport ship landed on 7 with a deep hum that shook the metal floor. Park stood near the exit door, her small bag hanging from her shoulder. She took a slow breath and waited for the doors to open. When they did, bright light flooded in. She stepped out onto the landing platform and looked around at the Galactic Military Academy for the first time. It was massive. The building stretched high into the purple sky, made of dark stone and glowing metal. Hundreds of cadets walked across the open grounds. All of them were aliens. All of them were huge. Was 5'3". The smallest alien she could see was at least 7 feet tall. She walked forward anyway. The academy had accepted her 3 months ago. She was the first human to be admitted in 40 cycles. Nobody had explained why they changed their minds about humans. Nobody had explained why she was chosen. The acceptance letter had simply arrived and had said yes. Now she was here, and she could feel the eyes on her. A group of cadets stopped talking as she walked past. They were a species with 4 arms and skin like gray leather. Their yellow eyes followed her with a mix of confusion and amusement. "Is that the human?" one of them said, loud enough for her to hear. "It must be. Look at the size of it." "I thought they were taller." Kept walking. She had learned a long time ago that words only hurt if you let them inside. The path to the registration building was long. She passed training grounds where cadets practice combat. She passed classrooms with windows showing holographic displays. She passed a group of massive cadets, their bodies made of something that looked like living rock. They did not even look at her. She was too small to notice. At the registration building, a tired-looking alien with 6 eyes processed her documents. "Park Earth, human," the alien said, each word like it tasted strange. "You are assigned to Barracks 12. Training begins tomorrow at first light. Do not be late." "Thank you," said. The alien blinked all 6 eyes. "You are polite. That is unexpected." Did not respond. She took her documents and walked out. Finding Barracks 12 took another hour. The academy was designed for beings with long legs. What took others 5 minutes took her 15. By the time she found her building, the sun was setting. Her room was small and bare. A bed that was too big for her. A desk. A window that looked out at a courtyard. She set her bag down and sat on the edge of the bed. She had done it. She was here. Her communication device buzzed. She looked at the screen and saw a familiar name. She accepted the call, and a holographic image of a man appeared above the device. Was 30 years old, with kind eyes and a scar across his chin. He had been like an older brother to since she was 12. "You made it," he said, smiling. "I made it." "How bad is it?" Looked around her empty room. "It is big. Everything is big. They look at me like I am a lost pet." Smile faded a little. "Expected. Listen, I need you to remember something. You are not there just for yourself. Every human in the galaxy is watching. If you fail, they will say humans are not ready. If you lose your temper, they will say humans are dangerous. You have to be perfect." "No pressure," said flatly. "I am serious. Earth's reputation depends on people like you. We are still the new species. We are still proving ourselves. Do not give them reasons to fear us." "And if they give me reasons to fight?" Was quiet for a moment. "Then you control yourself. You show them that humans are more than what the old stories say. Can you do that?" Nodded slowly. "I can do that." "Good, call me if you need anything. I am proud of you, little sister." The hologram disappeared, sat in the silence for a long time. She opened her bag and began unpacking. Clothes, a small photograph of her family, a worn book that had belonged to her mother. At the very bottom, she found something that had not been there before. It was a folded note, written on real paper. The paper was expensive. The handwriting was precise. She opened it and read. "Cadet Park, you are here because I want to know if the old reports were exaggerated. Do not disappoint me. Do not confirm them either. Commandant. Read the note 3 times. Then she folded it carefully and put it in her pocket. Old reports. What old reports? She knew some of the history. 40 cycles ago, something had happened. Something involving humans. The galaxy called it the Terran Revelation Incident, but the details were classified. Even on Earth, nobody talked about it openly. Whatever had happened, it had changed how the galaxy saw humans, and it was not good. Walked to the window and looked out at the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, thousands of alien cadets were preparing for tomorrow. They came from powerful species. They had natural weapons, natural armor, centuries of warrior tradition. She had none of that. She was small, she was soft, she was alone. But she was still here. A knock came at her door. She opened it and found no one there, only a small package on the ground. She picked it up and opened it. Inside was her cadet uniform, gray and black, with the Academy symbol on the shoulder. At the bottom of the package was another note, this one typed. Uniform adjusted for human proportions. You are the first. There will be challenges. Survive them. No signature. Held the uniform up. It was her size. Someone had taken the time to make sure it would fit her. That meant someone wanted her to succeed, or at least someone wanted to see what would happen. She put the uniform away and lay down on the too-big bed. Tomorrow, her training would begin. Tomorrow, she would face 1,000 beings who thought she was weak. She closed her eyes. On Earth, she had grown up in a hard place. Food was never certain. Safety was never guaranteed. She had learned to fight before she learned to read. She had learned to survive before she learned to hope. The galaxy thought humans were soft because they looked soft. They thought humans were weak because they were small. They did not understand. Earth was not a gentle world. It did not make gentle creatures. It made survivors. It made beings who would keep moving when their bodies screamed to stop. It made beings who smiled when they were afraid because showing fear meant death. Park was not the strongest thing on 7. She was not the fastest or the biggest. But she was the thing that would not stop. And soon, everyone would learn what that meant. She fell asleep with one hand under her pillow, ready for anything. Old habits did not die easy. On Earth, they kept you alive. On 7, Park was the smallest thing in any room. Nobody understood yet why that terrified the ones who knew. The first week at the academy was hard in ways had not expected. She woke before the sun rose. She put on her uniform and walked to the training grounds. She arrived early because her legs were short and the paths were long. The other cadets arrived on time. They did not have to plan for their own bodies. The first class was combat theory. The instructor was a serpentine being with scales that shifted colors when it spoke. Sat in the back of the room because all the seats in the front were too tall for her to see over. The instructor talked about battle tactics, about how different species used their natural abilities in war. They used their 4 arms to fight multiple enemies at once. They used their stone bodies as shields. They used their venom and their speed. When the instructor mentioned humans, the room went quiet. Humans are a new species to galactic warfare, the instructor said carefully. They lack natural weapons. They lack natural armor. They are physically weaker than most species in this room. Felt eyes on her. She did not look up. However, the instructor continued, humans are classified as persistent apex predators. This classification is not given lightly. We will discuss what this means in a later lesson. The class moved on, but heard the whispers behind her. Persistent apex predators, them. Must be a mistake. Look at her, I could break her with one arm. Wrote notes and said nothing. The second class was physical conditioning. This was held outside, on a training field with various obstacles and equipment. Instructor ran this class. He was nearly 8 feet tall, with 4 powerful arms and eyes that missed nothing. Today we test your baseline abilities, announced. Strength, speed, endurance. The results will determine your training groups. The tests began. Watch the other cadets lift massive weights, run at incredible speeds, and fight training dummies with brutal power. When her turn came, she walked forward feeling very small. The first test was lifting. She could not lift what the others lifted, not even close, made a note and said nothing. The second test was speed. She ran the course and something strange happened. She was not the fastest, but she was not the slowest either. Some of the larger cadets seemed surprised. Said, making another note. The third test was endurance. They had to run a long course 20 times around the training field. Most cadets finished strong. Some struggled at the end. Did not struggle at all. She finished the run and was barely breathing hard. The cadets who had mocked her strength now stared at her with confusion. Approached her. "You are not tired?" "No, sir. The gravity here is 0.7 standard. Earth gravity is 1 standard. Is this why?" Nodded. "On Earth everything is heavier, including me. Here I feel light." Looked at her for a long moment. Then he walked away without another word. That night went to the mess hall for dinner. The room was huge, filled with long tables and hundreds of cadets. The food stations had options for many species. She found the section marked for humans and took a simple meal. She sat alone at the end of a table. Around her, cadets talked and laughed in languages she did not understand. She ate quietly and watched. A shadow fell over her. She looked up and saw 3 cadets standing around her, 2 and 1. She recognized the biggest from the hallway on her first day. He had 4 arms and a smile that was not friendly. "The human eats alone," said. "How sad." "I am fine," said. "I did not ask if you were fine," leaned closer. "I asked myself why the academy lets cattle sit with soldiers." The beside him, a female with pale green scales, laughed. Her name had seen her in combat theory. "Careful," said. "She might bite you with her tiny human teeth." More laughter. Continued eating. This made angry. He wanted a reaction. He slammed one of his 4 hands on the table, making tray jump. "Do you know what we do with weak things in my culture, human? We remove them. They waste resources. They shame the group." "Interesting," said. She took another bite of food. His yellow eyes narrowed. He looked at who was holding a bowl of hot broth. Some kind of signal passed between them. Moved fast. She tripped, and the boiling broth spilled directly onto his arm. The liquid was extremely hot. Felt it burn through her sleeve and into her skin. The pain was immediate and sharp. She did not scream. She did not flinch. She did not even stop chewing. Slowly, very slowly, she wiped the broth off her arm with a cloth napkin. Her skin was red and blistering. Some of it was already peeling. The mess hall had gone silent. Looked up at, "You should be more careful." Stared at her. For the first time, something like uncertainty crossed her face. Grabbed the front of his uniform and lifted her off the bench. His 4 arms could have torn her apart easily. "What are you?" he demanded. "I am a cadet," said calmly. "Like you. Now put me down before an instructor sees." Held her for a moment longer. Then he dropped her and stepped back. "This is not over, human. Soon we will have a proper test, in the sparring ring. No instructors, no rules that matter." He walked away, and the others followed. Sat back down. Her arm was screaming with pain, but she finished her meal. She would not let them see her leave early. Later she went to the medical wing. A human woman was working there, which surprised her. The woman's name was. She was maybe 30 years old, with gentle hands and worried eyes. "Sit," said, already preparing burn treatment. "I heard what happened." News travels fast. News about humans always travels fast. We are interesting to them. Began treating the burn. "This is bad, 2nd degree at least. Why did you not react?" "I did react. I decided not to show it." Paused. "That is very human of you." Is that bad? It is what makes them afraid. Worked in silence for a moment. Most species here have never seen a human tolerate pain like that. They break bones and they scream. They get burned and they panic. When you sat there eating with boiling liquid on your arm, you became something they do not understand. Looked at her burned skin. On Earth we call that Tuesday. Almost smiled. I know I grew up in things were hard there too. She finished wrapping the bandage. Listen, is planning something, him and his friends, they want to test you in the sparring ring. Officially the academy allows challenges, but 3 against 1 with no witnesses. That is not a test, that is a beating. I know. And you will still go. Flexed her bandaged arm. It hurt, she did not care. They think I am prey, she said quietly. They need to learn otherwise. Looked at her for a long time. Be careful. There are things about humans that even humans forget. Our bodies do things when we are threatened. Old things. Things from before we were civilized. If you go too far, you might not be able to stop. Stood up, then I will not go too far. She walked back to her room. Inside, she locked the door and pulled up combat footage on her personal screen. Not academy footage. Footage from Earth. Wars, street fights, survival situations. What humans did when they were pushed to the edge. What happened when the civilized part of the brain turned off and something older took over. She studied, she prepared. They think I am prey, she whispered to herself again. She began stretching. Her burned arm complained. She ignored it. On Earth, the small ones learned early. You do not survive by being big. You survive by being relentless. You survive by hurting the thing that wants to hurt you. You survive by making them afraid to ever touch you again. The academy had taught her many things this week. Now she would teach them something back. She trained alone until the sun rose. Sparring day came at the end of the second week. The combat training arena was the largest building in the academy. It had stone walls that rose high into the air and seats that could hold 1,000 cadets. In the center was the ring, a circular platform made of some material that absorbed impacts. Walked in with the other cadets. She felt small as always, but today she also felt ready. Instructor stood at the edge of the ring. His 4 arms were crossed over his chest, and his yellow eyes scanned the crowd. Today we test your combat skills, he announced. Open challenges are permitted. Any cadet may challenge another. Non-lethal rules apply. Medical teams are standing by. He paused. However, I remind you all that the ring has safety systems. If combat becomes too dangerous, the systems will intervene. The first few matches were between cadets of similar species. Against. Watched carefully, studying their movements, their weaknesses. Then stepped forward. I wish to make a challenge, he said loudly. The arena went quiet. Everyone knew what was coming. I challenge the human, Cadet Park. Stood up from her seat. She walked down to the ring without hesitation. The crowd murmured around her, but was not finished. I also request that my training partners join me to make the match more educational. And stepped forward. Was a nearly 9 feet tall, his body made of dark gray stone. His fists were the size of his head. 3 against 1. The arena erupted in whispers. Some cadets looked uncomfortable, others looked excited. Instructor frowned. This is unusual. But not against the rules, said smoothly. Open challenges. Any cadet may challenge another. Nothing says it must be 1 against 1. Looked at Cadet Park. You may refuse this challenge. There is no shame in it. Met his eyes. I do not refuse. More whispers. Studied her face for a long moment. Then he stepped back. Very well. The match will proceed. 3 against 1. Non-lethal rules apply. Climbed into the ring and climbed in from the other side. The ring suddenly felt very small. The crowd pressed closer. Hundreds of alien faces watched from every direction. Stood in the center. She was wearing her training uniform, No armor, no weapons. She looked at her three opponents. Was grinning. He cracked his 4 sets of knuckles. This will be quick, human, try not to cry. Circled to the left, her scales shifting colors with anticipation. Her claws were extended. In combat, claws carried venom that could paralyze. Just stood like a wall, waiting to crush anything that came near him. Took a breath, she centered herself. In her mind she heard's voice, control yourself. But there was another voice too, older, deeper, the voice of every human ancestor who had faced predators with nothing but their hands and their will. Survive. Raised his hand, begin. Charged first. He was not fast, but he was enormous. His stone body came at like a falling mountain. The ground shook with each step. Waited. At the last possible moment, she moved. She stepped to the side, letting momentum carry him past her. As he went by, she struck with her palm at the back of his knee, hitting a point where the stone plates did not quite connect. Stumbled, his leg buckled. He crashed down onto one knee. The crowd gasped. Came next, fast and silent. Her clawed hands slashed its face and neck. Blocked, deflected, ducked. She caught his wrist on the third strike and twisted. Hissed in pain. Eustace's own movement against her, pulling and turning. Flew through the air and slammed into the rising, knocking them both down. Attacked with all 4 arms. He was fast, much faster than the others. His 4 fists came at from different angles, a storm of violence. She blocked what she could. She dodged what she could not block. But she could not block everything. A fist caught her ribs. She felt them crack. Another fist hit her shoulder. Another grazed her head. Blood ran from her nose. Pain exploded through her body. She did not stop. She stepped inside's reach, too close for his long arms to be effective. She drove her elbow into his throat. He choked and staggered back. Was up again. He grabbed from behind, his stone arms wrapping around her like a trap. She could not breathe. Her ribs screamed. Dark spots appeared in her vision. But her hands were free. She reached back and found his eyes, the only soft part of his body. She pushed her thumbs in. Roared and released her. He stumbled back, hands over his face. Came again, furious now. Her claws raked across his back, cutting through the uniform, cutting through skin. Felt the venom entering her body. It was supposed to paralyze. It was supposed to make her fall. She kept moving. On Earth, humans had evolved to process toxins. Not perfectly, not easily, but enough to buy time. She grabbed his arm and pulled. At the same time, she dropped her weight and twisted, flipped over his hip and hit the ground hard. Stomped on her wrist. The bones broke with a sound like dry wood. Screamed. Charged, all 4 arms swinging. Met him head-on. She took hits. Her body broke in small ways, but she kept hitting back. She aimed for joints, for nerve clusters, for the soft places between armor plates. She hit the same spots again and again, each strike building on the last. His movement slowed. His arms stopped working properly. Had damaged the connections, the tendons and nerves that made his 4-armed fighting style possible. She drove her knee into his stomach. When he bent over, she brought her elbow down on the back of his neck. He fell. Grabbed her again, but this time she was ready. She twisted free and struck the back of his damaged knee once more. He went down. She kicked him in the head. He stayed down. Only was still moving, crawling toward the edge of the ring with her broken wrist held close. Stood in the center. Her body was damaged, 3 cracked ribs, maybe 4. Deep cuts on her back, possible internal bleeding. The venom was making her muscles twitch. But she was still standing. And she was smiling. Not a friendly smile, not a human smile. A predator's smile. The arena was completely silent. 1,000 aliens stared at the tiny human who had just destroyed 3 larger opponents. Then the scanners activated. Red light flooded the ring. A loud alarm began to sound. Automated voice systems spoke in every language. Warning: Earthborn combatant DETACTED in elevated state. Threat assessment: extreme. Barely heard it. Her blood was singing. Her vision was sharp. Every movement in the crowd registered as potential threat or target. The voice continued. Earthborn, stand down immediately. Instructor moved fast. He jumped into the ring and placed himself between and everyone else. His forearms were raised but not toward her. Toward the crowd, protecting them. Clear the arena, he ordered. Now. Cadets began running for the exits. Some looked back with fear in their eyes. Others looked at like she was a monster. She stood there, breathing hard, covered in blood, most of it her own. The red light kept flashing. Earthborn, stand down immediately. Looked down at her hands. They were shaking, not from fear, from something else. Something old and terrible and very, very human. She forced herself to take a slow breath. Then another. She pushed down the thing inside her that wanted to keep fighting, to finish what had been started. Slowly, very slowly, she lowered her hands. I am standing down, she said quietly. The alarm continued for another 10 seconds. Then it stopped. The red light faded. Instructor turned to face her. His expression was unreadable. Do you know what just happened? He asked. Looked at, unconscious on the ground, at whimpering in pain, at not moving at all. Yes, she said. They found out I am not prey. Shook his head slowly. No, Cadet Park, they found out what you really are. He stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. I have read the old reports. I know what the Red Protocol means. You were about to cross a line that cannot be uncrossed. He paused. But you stopped. That makes you more dangerous than if you had not. Did not understand. How? Because a weapon without control is just destruction, but a weapon with control. He looked at the 3 fallen cadets. That is something empires are built on, or destroyed by. Heavy footsteps approached, looked up and saw a massive figure entering the arena. Commandant, even larger than, his stone body was ancient and his eyes burned with cold intelligence. He looked at the scene, the blood, the broken bodies, the tiny human standing in the middle of it all. Well, he said slowly, the reports were not exaggerated after all. The red light came back for just a moment, then faded again. Stood there, waiting for judgment. Around her, the truth spread through the academy like wildfire. The human was not prey. The human was something much, much worse. The arena was empty now, except for 3 people. Stood where she had fought. The blood on the floor was drying. Medical teams had already taken and away. She did not know if they would survive. Part of her did not care. That was the part that worried her. Instructor stood near the edge of the ring, watching. Commandant stood in front of, his ancient stone body blocking most of her view. Walk with me, said. It was not a request. He turned and moved toward a side door, followed, stayed behind. They walked through empty hallways. The normal sounds of the academy were gone. Word had spread. Everyone was hiding. Led her to a small room with no windows. Inside were 2 chairs and a table. He sat in one chair. It cracked under his weight but held. Sit, he said. Sat, her body was beginning to feel the damage now. The adrenaline was fatting. The pain was growing. Studied her for a long moment. His eyes were like black stones. Do you know why the scanner triggered? He asked. No. Do you know what the Red Protocol is? No. Leaned back, the chair cracked again. The Red Protocol was created 40 cycles ago, after an incident that changed how the galaxy sees your species. We call it the Terran Revelation Incident. On Earth, I believe it is called something else, or perhaps not spoken of at all. Waited, she had wondered about this for years. 40 cycles ago, continued, 3 human soldiers were part of a joint mission with galactic forces. They were support personnel, scientists, not warriors. They were stationed on a small moon for research. He paused, as if remembering something painful. A raiding party attacked the station. 50 pirates, well-armed, experienced killers from 3 different species. They expected easy prey. The station had no real defenses, just 3 humans and some equipment. What happened? The pirates landed and entered the station. Communications were cut. When backup forces arrived 6 hours later, they found the pirates dead, all 50 of them. His breath caught. The 3 humans were still alive. Barely. They had broken bones, they had lost blood. One of them had been shot through the stomach and kept fighting for 4 more hours. Another had crushed her own hand to escape from restraints. His voice was quiet now. They killed 50 armed raiders with whatever they could find, tools, rocks, their bare hands. They did not stop when they were injured. They did not stop when they were dying. They kept going until every threat was eliminated. Thought about the fight she had just been in, 3 opponents. She had almost lost control. These humans had faced 50. The surviving humans were studied, said. Their bodies, their minds, their responses to threat. What we found changed everything we thought we knew about your species. What did you find? That humans have a switch, tapped his stone forehead. In here, when you are threatened enough, when survival is in question, something turns on. Your fear goes away. Your pain becomes distant. Your body releases chemicals that make you stronger, faster, more resistant to damage. And most importantly, you lose the ability to stop. Remembered the fight, the smile on her face, the feeling that she could have kept going forever. We call it the red state, said. Your species evolved on a death world. Extreme gravity, extreme predators, extreme everything. Normal fear responses were not enough. So your ancestors developed something else. A mode of being that exists only to survive at any cost. The scanner detected this. The scanner detects stress hormones, heart rate patterns, brain activity. When a human enters the early stages of the red state, the readings become distinctive. The protocol was created to warn others, to give them time to run. Looked at her hands again, still shaking slightly. The 3 humans on that moon, she said quietly. What happened to them after? They were heroes to your people, but the galactic community was terrified. The Galactic Council classified humans as persistent apex predators. The Red Protocol was added to every scanner in every facility that might encounter humans, and human military personnel were quietly removed from joint operations. We were punished for surviving. You were isolated for being dangerous. There is a difference. Leaned forward. Today, you entered the early stages of the red state. You fought 3 opponents who should have destroyed you. You won, and then you stopped. I heard the warning. Yes, but the warning alone does not stop a human in the red state. I have seen footage. Warnings mean nothing when the switch is fully activated. Eyes narrowed. You stopped yourself. That should not be possible. Did not know what to say. I am going to ask you a question, said slowly, and I need you to answer honestly. There is no wrong answer, but there are answers that will determine your future. Ask. Were you going to kill them? The question hung in the air. Thought about his throat under her elbow, his broken wrist, his eyes. I do not know, she said finally. Part of me wanted to, part of me was already planning how, but another part of me remembered why I was here, what I was trying to prove. She paused. I was going to survive. On Earth, sometimes that is the same thing as killing, but it does not have to be. Was silent for a long time. Do you know why I admitted you to this academy? He asked. To test the old reports. No, I admitted you because the galaxy cannot keep fearing humans forever. Fear breeds hatred, hatred breeds war, and a war against humans. He shook his head. We have studied your history, your world wars, your endless conflicts. Humans do not lose wars. They simply keep fighting until everything is destroyed, including themselves. That is not all we are. I know, that is why you are here. To show the galaxy that humans can be more than monsters, that you can be trusted, that you can be partners, not threats. Thought about this, and today did I prove that or disprove it? Stood up, the chair finally broke into pieces. Today you proved both. You are exactly what the reports said, a predator who cannot be stopped, but you also proved something new. He walked to the door. You can stop yourself. That makes you the most important human in the galaxy right now. He opened the door. You will remain in the medical wing for recovery and evaluation. Your actions will be reviewed by the council. I will speak on your behalf, but I make no promises. And if they decide I am too dangerous, looked back at her. For the first time, something like respect showed in his ancient eyes. Then they will try to send you home, and I suspect you will survive that too. He left, sat alone in the small room. Her body hurt, her mind was racing. She had almost become the monster they feared. She had almost proven every horrible thing the galaxy believed about humans. But she had stopped. Was that enough? She did not know. But she knew one thing: she was not going to run. She was not going to hide. Whatever came next, she would face it the way she had faced everything else. Standing up, moving forward, never stopping. That was what Earth made. Not monsters, not weapons. Survivors. The door opened again. A medical team entered, ready to take her to the medical wing. Stood on shaking legs. I can walk, she said. They let her walk. Behind her, the broken chair lay in pieces. Above the door, a small red light blinked once, then went dark. The scanners were still watching. They would always be watching now. But Park was not afraid. She had faced her own monster and won. Whatever the galaxy threw at her next could not be worse than that. She walked out of the room, one step at a time. The fight was over. The real battle was just beginning. The medical wing was quiet at night. Lay in a bed that was still too big for her. Her ribs were wrapped tight. The cuts on her back had been sealed with something that smelled like metal and flowers. The venom was still in her system, making her muscles twitch every few minutes, but the doctors said she would recover. She stared at the ceiling and could not sleep. 2 guards stood outside her door. She could see their shadows through the small window. They were not there to keep people out. They were there to keep her in. The academy was afraid of her now. Everyone was. Came to check on her around midnight. She moved quietly, checking the machines, reading the numbers on the screens. You should be sleeping, said softly. I know. Sat in the chair beside the bed. The whole academy is talking about you. Some say you are a hero. Some say you are a monster. Most say they do not know what to think. What do you think? Was quiet for a moment. I think you are a survivor like me, like all of us who grew up on Earth. Turned her head to look at her. Where did you grow up? The coastal districts. After the water rose, things got hard. Food was not enough. Space was not enough. People fought over everything. Eyes were distant, remembering. I saw things when I was young. I did things, whatever it took to survive. Me too. I know, I saw the way you fought. That is not academy training. That is street learning, survival learning. Closed her eyes. Memories came without permission. She was 12 years old. Seoul had changed. The old city was mostly empty now. The people who stayed were the ones who could not leave and the ones who refused to. Her family was the second kind. Her father had died when she was 8. Her mother worked 3 jobs and was never home, raised her younger cousins, and they were 7 and 5. They did not understand why there was not enough food. They did not understand why the other families looked at them with hungry eyes. One night, a group of older boys came to their building. They wanted what little food the family had stored. Mother was at work. It was just and the little ones. She hid the cousins in a closet. She told them to be quiet no matter what they heard. Then she went to meet the boys. There were 4 of them, all bigger than her, all older. They laughed when they saw her. Did not remember the fight clearly. She remembered a knife she found on the ground. She remembered screaming. She remembered blood that was not hers. When it was over, 2 of the boys were hurt badly. The other 2 had run, sat on the floor covered in blood, shaking, and stayed in the closet until morning. They did not ask what happened. They were too young to understand and too smart to want to know. After that, the neighborhood left them alone. Opened her eyes. The medical wing ceiling was still there. The memories faded. "Where did you go?" asked. "Somewhere I try not to visit." "I understand." Stood up and checked the machines one more time. "You have a call from Earth, someone named. He has been trying to reach you for hours." Nodded, activated the holographic display. His face appeared. He looked tired and worried. "I heard what happened. Are you okay?" "I am alive." "That is not what I asked." Was quiet for a moment. "I do not know if I am okay. I almost lost control. I almost became what they think we are." His expression softened. "But you did not. You stopped. That is what matters." "Is it? The whole galaxy saw me break 3 cadets without breaking a sweat. They saw the red protocol activate. They saw what we really are. They saw a human defend herself against impossible odds. They saw someone fight and win. And then they saw her choose to stop." Leaned closer to the camera. "That last part is the most important part. Anyone can be dangerous. Very few can be dangerous and controlled." Thought about Commandant's words. A weapon with control. "Humans across the galaxy are talking," continued. "Some are worried. They think you made things worse for all of us. They think the fear will grow." "And the others?" Smiled slightly. "The others are proud. They say it is about time the galaxy remembered what we are capable of. They say maybe now the aliens will think twice before treating us like pets." "Which side are you on?" "I am on your side. I have always been on your side." He paused. "What happened in that ring? What did it feel like?" She remembered the smile on her face, the singing in her blood, the absolute certainty that she could destroy anything in her path. "It felt like coming home," she admitted. "That is what scares me." Smile faded. "I know that feeling. Every human soldier knows it. We call it different things. The zone, the edge, the red moment. It is always there, waiting. The question is not whether you have it. The question is whether you can control it." "I barely did." "But you did. That is more than most." He straightened up. "Listen, I do not know what the Academy will decide. I do not know what the Galactic Council will say. But whatever happens, remember why you went there. To prove that we are more than monsters. Today, you proved you could be a monster. Tomorrow, prove you can be something else. What if I cannot? Then try again the next day. That is what humans do. We keep trying until we get it right or we die. And you are not dead yet." The hologram flickered. Time was running out. "I have to go," said. "But I am proud of you, little sister. You scared the whole galaxy. Now show them what you do after the fight is over." The hologram disappeared. Lay in the darkness, thinking. Outside her window, she could see the Academy grounds. Lights were on in some buildings. Life continued, even after what she had done. Returned after an hour. "The 3 cadets you fought, I have news." "Are they alive?" "Has 3 broken arms and a damaged throat. He will recover but may never fight the same way again. Has a skull fracture and permanent vision damage. His wrist was shattered. She will need replacement bones." Felt something cold in her stomach. "I did that." "Yes, you did." Sat down again. "How do you feel about it?" "I do not know. Part of me is sorry. They will suffer for a long time because of me. But another part," she trailed off. "Another part thinks they deserved it. Yes, they came at me 3-1. They wanted to hurt me. They wanted to break me. They got what they asked for." Nodded slowly. That is very human too. We do not forgive easily. We do not forget attacks. When someone tries to kill us, we make sure they never try again. Is that wrong? I do not know. It is what kept us alive on Earth. Maybe here in the stars we need to be different. Maybe not. Stood up. Get some sleep. Tomorrow the evaluation begins. They will ask you many questions. They will try to understand what you are. What am I? Looked at her for a long moment. You are what Earth made, a survivor, a fighter, a predator that refuses to die. The galaxy has never seen anything like you before. She walked to the door. The question now is what you will become, a weapon to be feared or something better. She left, closed her eyes. She thought about her mother, working 3 jobs to keep them alive. She thought about and hiding in a closet while she fought for them. She thought about who taught her that strength means nothing without purpose. Earth did not make humans to be perfect. It made them to survive anything. The galaxy was only beginning to understand what that truly meant. But survival was not enough, not anymore. She had spent her whole life learning to fight. Now she needed to learn something harder. She needed to learn when not to fight. The red light above her door blinked once. The scanners were still watching. Let them watch. Tomorrow she would show them something new.